Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome to another ROU online series. Today we'll be doing the topic of Zakah. So we begin. A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Bismillah ar-Rahmanir Rahim. Alhamdulillah wassalatu wassalam ala rasulillah wa ala alihi wa ashabi ajma'in wa man tabi'ahum bi ihsanin illa yawmiddin. Rabbi shrah li sadri wa yassir li amri wa hlul 'uqdatan min lisani yafqahu qawli wa ba'd. So the topic of Zakah. And we know that indeed the topic of Zakah, it is a pillar in Islam. Among all of the pillars in Islam, it is a pillar in Islam. So it definitely is something that is high up there. It is definitely something that we need to fulfill in order to fulfill our requirements of Islam. And you know the hadith that Bunya al-Islam ala khams, that Islam is built upon these 5 pillars. So if any one of these pillars, whether it is Salah, our Zakah, our Hajj, is deficient, then our Islam is also deficient. So when it comes to Zakah, we need to ensure that it is fulfilled in a manner that it should be fulfilled. So Zakah, what does the word Zakah, when we say Zakah, what does it refer to? Does it refer to a tax? Does Zakah mean that we need to pay something like VAT? The word Zakah in Islam and the word Zakah in the Arabic language comes from the root word means that to purify. From one of the roots is to purify. So when we say that we give Zakah or we pay Zakah on our earnings, it is a means of purifying our wealth. Actually, Allah says in Surah Nur chapter 24 verse number 33 that give from what we have given to you, given in charity, and given in this case Zakah, from what we have given to you. So the wealth that we have, the monies that we have, the properties that we have, it is not accomplished by ourselves. It is something that Allah has given to us. He has given us the ability to earn it. He has given us the means and the directions and the thought processes that we have. Everything that we have, we are able to earn that money and directed us in the correct manner. That Allah is the one at the end of it that has guided us to it, that has opened our way to get this wealth that we have. And part of purifying, so the wealth per se is not ours, it was given to us from Allah. And part of the rights upon the wealth, part of the rights that we have to Allah from this wealth is that we purify it by giving a portion, and a very small portion if we look at it, in Zakah. One of the other names, or one of the other meanings of Zakah rather, is from the root that means to increase, to get more of something. So when we speak of this, we do Zakah on our wealth. When we speak of Zakah, it is a means of actually our wealth could be increased, as contrary to what we think, that when we give in Zakah, when we take from our wealth a portion of it to give people in Zakah, we think that our wealth might be decreasing, in other words. And we know the hadith of the Prophet Muhammad mentioned in Sahih Muslim that whoever gives in any way, and it doesn't just mean Zakah here, but it means also in Sadaqah and any way at all, whoever gives in a form of charity, that it does not decrease the wealth even in a little bit. So do not ever think that when we give in Zakah or charity or anything like that, that it decreases the wealth. But in fact, when the term Zakah comes from the meaning that it would give some sort of increase. And inshallah, may Allah make us among those that we give Zakah properly and we see from it a purification of our wealth and even an increase in our wealth. So, we've spoken about Zakah, and we say that the monies that we have are not from Allah. The monies that we have are from Allah, it's not from ourselves. And we are given this, and it is our due right upon us to give a portion of it in Zakah. Even when it comes to in the Quran, when Allah mentions to pay Zakah, when Allah speaks about Zakah in Quran, a lot of times, even more than 30 times it is mentioned with Salah, on the same exact sentence with Salah, where Allah says وَقِيمُوا الصَّلَاةَ وَآتُوا الزَّكَاةَ, that establish the prayer and pay the Zakah, and both of these are fi'lul amr, they're in the command form. So just as the same in the same effort that Allah says to establish the Salah, in the same manner which Allah speaks about establishing the Salah and how important the Salah is, He says to pay the Zakah. And it is almost as if He's equating both of them, almost as if He's doing that. So in the same light in which we see solar as something, we know solar is something that is important, we know solar is something that we definitely need to do and we cannot leave off, we need to see zakah also in that same light. And maybe Allah knows that a lot of times people see zakah as something that their wealth is being diminished. They see zakah as that same money that they're probably going to give in zakah as a portion, they could have used it for something else. They could have buy a gift for Eid, or we could have buy a new shoe, a new piece of clothing. We could have done so much things with that monies that we have to give in zakah. So it becomes sometimes difficult, or we have a hardness in our heart sometimes in giving it in zakah. So and we see, Allah has mentioned it so much with salah that it is almost on the same level, as if Allah knows that it's going to be something difficult for people. If Allah knows that people might not be wanting to do it, so He equates it to salah and puts it on the same level as salah. That if we fall short in it, it is as if we are falling short in our salah. We are doing it is a pillar in Islam. So going on from that though, who has to pay zakah? Who has to receive zakah? Do I have to pay zakah? And this is the month of Ramadan. We know a lot of people use this month to pay their zakah in this month because of the notion that they may be increased in reward. And of course, zakah is due on our monies once we have accumulated it for a period of a year. Once we have that money for a period of a year that is over the nisab, then it becomes zakatable. Then we need to pay zakah on that money. So whether it is Ramadan or if that time came before Ramadan, then it was really supposed to be due before Ramadan. But who has to pay the zakah? Who needs to pay zakah? And probably we could find out if we fall into that category. So the ones who have to pay zakah is those who fall into the category of having more than a fixed value, which is referred to as the nisab. The nisab was calculated, or is something that is calculated a value based on the amount of silver and gold. And this was at the time of the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ, 21 ounces of silver and just 3.7 ounces of gold. So at that time, this was the currency then. This is what trading and thing was done upon gold and silver at that time. So we still use those values at then, and those values would have represented how much the average cost of living for an individual would be for a period of a year or a period of time. That if they have this, they should be able to survive and sustain themselves. And if they have less than this, then they are less than the cost of living, and they need to be helped out in some way or the next. So the values have changed a lot since in terms of the worth of silver and the worth of gold has changed a lot in the last 1400 years. So where at that time the nisab for both silver and gold was roughly close to the same amount, when we measure the values today of that amount of silver, 21 ounces of silver and 3.7 ounces of gold, we see that the silver value is about $2,000 roughly TT dollars, and the gold is about $31,245. So it's a big difference if we use silver to measure or we use gold to measure. So there's a different opinion whether we should go with the silver nisab or the gold nisab, and we're not going to go into that today. Of course, if we go with the lower value, if we go, which most people do in Trinidad, that if you have more than $2,000 as of this Ramadan of 2020, if you have less than $2,000, then you are entitled to receive zakah. And if you have more than $2,000 of TT dollars, that you are entitled to pay and give in zakah. So let's just go with the low amount. Of course, if you go with the gold, the same principle applies. So those who would have to pay zakah are those who have more than the nisab, more than $2,000 in, and this means that more than $2,000 after we minus all of our expenses, after we minus all of the bills and our expenses, if we have any loans and payments that we need to pay, after we take out all of those deductions, and we remain with our savings, if we have more than $2,000 in our savings in that case. So who has to receive zakah? Who is in a category to receive zakah now? Allah says in Surah Tawbah, chapter number 9, verse number 60, Allah speaks about the different categories of people that are allowed to receive zakah. That Allah has made these people, these categories, the categories who are deemed for the people who give in zakah, to give to these categories. And then just go through some of them. Those are those who are fakir, those who are very needy, those who are, they don't own anything. We do with two categories, fakir and miskin. So these two categories, one category, the fakir or the fukara, are those who they don't own anything at all. As some of the scholars mentioned to define them, they don't own anything, or they own very little. They may not have a home, they may not have anything like that. We can probably think of this category as those who are homeless, who actually lives on the street. So they don't own anything at all. They are down in the dust, as we say. And the second category is the miskin. Those who they may own something, they may own a house, they may own a car, they have things in their possession, and they have families and stuff. They may even have a job, but they are in a state of need. They are in a state of dire need. So, example, especially with this pandemic today, within the last couple of weeks, a lot of people have been put on the breadline. A lot of people have not had a paycheck, a salary for the last couple of weeks and months, and they are probably accustomed living from one paycheck to the next. And because of that, yes, they may have a house, yes, they may have a car even, yes, they may have family, and they have possessions in their house, and they have things that are good, but because they don't have an income per se coming in, they fall into a category of the needy now. We can categorize that as the miskin. So of course it can be on a case-by-case basis. We need to analyze this, but these are the ones how we differentiate the fukara, those who own nothing at all, and the miskin, those who may own something but are still in a state of need. These are two categories who can receive zakah. Going on, who else can receive zakah? Those who have a debtor who is in a lot of debt, and they need to clear out debts. Zakah can be used to clear out debts. Zakah can also be used to pay those who collect the zakah and disburse of the zakah as a form of stipend for them. Zakah can also be used for those whose hearts are inclined to Islam. So this is the only category of people who is not Muslim that zakah can be given to. And zakah firstly must be given to Muslim in these categories of those who are of the poor and the needy. They must be Muslim. All the categories of who can receive zakah has to be Muslim, except this category whose hearts are inclined to Islam. So to quickly define it, for someone whose heart is inclined to Islam, that they have potential and they would like to join the faith of Islam, but in doing so they have needs that need to be met. They have families that need to see about, and they're actually in a state of need, that they can be given zakah even before they have entered the religion. And this is the opinion of the majority of scholars. So that is another category of those who can receive zakah. A fourth category, or fifth category rather, of zakah can be used fi sabilillah, in the path of Allah. Another category is a wayfarer, or who we would categorize as someone who may be on a journey, a traveler who is on a journey, and maybe they may have their funds at home, they may have their possessions, and they may be wealthy, they may even be a wealthy person but at home, but because they are on a journey and away from their home, and they are away from their possessions, and they have come into some difficulty, that the zakah can also be given to them. And the last category is for the freeing of slaves, and of course we don't have that today, and hopefully we don't know anyone who has slaves that we need to be freed. So those are some of the categories that who can receive the zakah. And we say that zakah must be given to, first, the person must be Muslim, except for that one category that we said. And for those who need to pay the zakah, it must be paid by first, it has to be paid by male or female. There is no difference there. And whether the person is in a form of sanity or not, that whoever is in charge of their wealth is in charge of disbursing their zakah for them. So there's a couple things there. How much is the zakah now? How much for my wealth do I have to give? A half of my wealth, a quarter of my wealth? How much do I pay in zakah? So basically, when it comes to deal with this, we could probably determine what of our commodities, what of our earnings, or what of our savings do we need to calculate to determine how much zakah we need to pay. So there are a couple categories that we take into consideration when we calculate our zakah. First, our liquid assets. When we say like liquid assets, a big term, all it means is the funds that we have available, which is the monies in a bank, which is monies we have at home, the monies we have in our bank. If we have gold and silver, it will come under this category also. So whatever earnings we have in the bank, in gold and silver, we need to calculate how much the total of that is worth, and then we calculate 2.5%, 2.5% of that, and that will be the zakat on it. And of course, we said that zakat is calculated after minusing all the expenses and utilities and our normal expenses, and then the rest of savings is calculated on that. Zakat is also calculated on merchandise. So if we have a business and we have this amount of stock in our business, zakat has to be calculated on the merchandise that we have at hand. So another category, the merchandise that we have at hand. Another category zakat can be calculated on is livestock. So if we are, it might not apply to all of us, but if there are farmers, among us that have a large amount of livestock, rather, that there's a calculation with it, how many of this animal needs to be given in zakat compared to the entire of it. Zakat is also given in terms of produce. So if we have like gardens, and of course large gardens we are speaking about, not something, a home kitchen garden that we have at home, but gardens for the intention of selling, that zakat is also calculated upon the producer also. Zakat is also calculated upon precious metals, another category. So these are different categories of zakat. Most of us would just fall into the first one or the second one also, merchandise, but the first category being that those savings that we have, those savings that we have in the bank, and the monies that we have at home. Sometimes monies we have under the mattress hiding all over the place, the monies that we may have in different currencies also, whether it be in US, in pounds, in euro, that we need to convert it or find an equivalent for it, and calculate the zakat on that also. The monies that we have in different banking institutions, and we're not going to the banking if it's halal haram today, of course that's a different topic. But if you have it in the banks, if you have it at the credit unions, if you have it at different banking institutions, we need to calculate all of this in terms of calculating our zakat. When it comes to jewelry, a question that is commonly asked, when it comes to jewelry, do I calculate zakat on the necklace that I wear, and the chain that I wear, and the earrings that my husband gave me for anniversary maybe? So do I calculate zakat on that? So there's a difference of opinion when it comes to jewelry, gold. And when we speak of jewelry, we speak of gold and silver specifically, not diamonds here or platinum or all of these other forms of jewelry. Gold and silver specifically. So when it comes to gold and silver jewelry specifically, there is some difference of opinion that those of the Abu Hanifa madhab mention that if of all gold and silver jewelry, whether we wear the jewelry or we do not wear the jewelry, meaning that is probably handed down from generation to generation, or we have it actually in a store value, that you use that as a store of currency, that you just have it that there to someday that you will cash it in for its value. So whether you have it as that is a store value of currency, or that is something that you wear on a daily basis, under the Abu Hanifa madhab or school of thought, that zakat still has to be calculated on that. According to the other three schools, the Imam Shafi, the Imam Ahmad bin Hanbal, and the Imam Malik, that the zakat would not be calculated on jewelry of gold and silver. But if we have gold and silver that we use not for jewelry but as a form of trade, if it's there as actually we have these gold bars that you're not going to wear, that's actually a store value of currency, we have that as a form of currency, then it has to be calculated on that. And there's a lot of opinion, a lot of evidence to show that the view of Imam Abu Hanifa, that it needs to be calculated on even the jewelry that we wear. So there's a lot of evidence to support that. So basically this is in very short, that a synopsis of zakat. What does this all plays into. You know, zakah in Islam is not just we pay money and some receive money, and it's way bigger than that. It's a lot bigger than that, and this probably is the most important part of this segment. That zakah in Islam, it is an institution. Zakah in Islam is there to solve the problems of society. It is there to create a better society. So, for example, zakah has to be paid or given to those who are less fortunate. So some of the wealth of those who are rich and poor, or some of the wealth who are more fortunate, or those who are more well off, is given to those who are less well off. So it gives a sort of balance in the financial regime in society. It gives that sort of equilibrium in a way that the rich don't always stay rich, but the rich, not that they will become poor, but the rich helps the poor. The rich helps those who are poor to get on their feet. The rich helps those who are poor to get in a better state, but not that the rich needs to get poor, in other words. So we can't think of it like that. So it gives a sort of equilibrium in the society. Secondly, you know, it doesn't show a monopolization, that because the rich is rich, that they are able to monopolize everything, and and basically see how things are done, and control things in society. But they look in doing zakah, that they have to consider those who are less fortunate. They are forced to consider those who are less fortunate. When the institution of zakah is there, so there's the institution of zakah, where it's a compulsory form of charity that each Muslim has to give every single year, this form of charity. Then there's the institution of sadaqah, where is a voluntary charity that a Muslim can give. And then there's something referred to as the Baitul Mal, which is a store of wealth. We can do another day. But when these things are established, a zakah is established in the society, and sadaqah is established in the society, that there should be no poor person in the society, or if there's any poor person in the society, that they are being helped, they are being aided, and bring up to a standard, and bring up to a level where they are okay. So if zakah is done as it should be, as many scholars have mentioned, if zakah is truly done as it should be, there will be no poor people on the face of the earth, in terms of Islam, that is, in terms of the Muslims, because they will be aided via zakah. And then in the larger picture of it, when zakah is established and then sadaqah is established, so we have the compulsory charity and then we have the voluntary charity, then the entire system is established, in the sense of after all of this, if someone then goes to steal something, then we can chop off their hand. You know, as Allah mentions in Surah Ma'idah chapter number 5 verse number 38, that if someone steals, that we are allowed to, that the punishment is that you chop off their hand, that one of their hands will be severed. But so this doesn't just happen just like that. The zakah has to be established in society, sadaqah has to be established in society, a baitul mal has to be established. And if after all of these things then someone decides that they're going to steal, then they have a right, in a way, to be penalized for it, and penalized severely, because you are given all the chances and all the abilities to not be poor, because you're being helped. So you know, it is an entire system, the system of zakah, and this is how it serves a community. So zakah is just part of the bigger picture in an Islamic community, of how Islam changes a community. You know, as time is going and we quickly wrap up, we could probably touch on some of the punishments for those who do not pay zakah. So you know, sometimes we would want to hold back on zakah, and we think we can give even piece of the zakah. You know, maybe if we are supposed to give a full 5,000 in zakah, just quoting some figures off my head. If you're supposed to give 5,000 in zakah and we think that's too much, well, maybe I'll give piece of it, I'll give half of it, or I wouldn't give the full amount, or maybe you mightn't give the entire thing. Allah speaks about the punishment of zakah in Surah Tawbah, chapter number 9, verse number 34 and 35, that Allah says that those who hoard, and referring to the wealth that they hoard in terms of zakah, those who hoard these wealth and they refuse to give it out, that on the day of judgment, and on Yawm al-Qiyamah, their wealth will be made will be heated. It will be their wealth that they hoarded, the same wealth will be heated, and they will be branded with it. Just imagine that the same wealth that we withhold and we withheld, that we will be punished via that same wealth, through that same wealth. A hadith, it is mentioned in Tabarani, that Prophet Muhammad said that for the one who does not pay zakah, that they will be given a calamity. Allah will send a calamity upon the one who does not pay zakah. Another hadith mentioned in Sahih al-Targhib wa Tarhib, that for the one who does not pay zakah, that their wealth will be destroyed. So for the one who does not pay zakah, that their wealth will be there to brand them on the day of judgment. Their wealth will be destroyed, that they will be faced with a calamity. So all of these are punishments for the ones who hold back on paying zakah. So zakah is something, as we end off with this, that it is something that we give to the poor, to those who are less fortunate, and this is something that when we do it, and we advise that people, we can't give it to the masjid and they will distribute it to the persons, or we can't give it to organizations like ROU and like other organizations, where we at ROU will take the money. We have a database where we do case assessments, and we go out and we meet these people who are less fortunate and see their situation, and if they are deserving of the zakah, and then we take the funds that come in from zakah and we distribute it to them. So we meet with these people, and we advise that you do this. But at the same time, if you can on your own selves go and meet these people who are and share your zakat yourself, and you will see the conditions of people that they are in. And this is one of the wisdoms of zakah also, that it shows us who are less fortunate than us and the situations that they are in, and it makes us very much more thankful and appreciative of the conditions that we have. So giving out the zakah on our own is something that's very commendable and something that is recommended. And probably the call to action today is that we at ROU, we have an entire database of persons requesting zakah, and we go out and do these case assessments, and we go out and meet these individuals and see their situations. And I invite all of you to come and be part of it. Come and go out with us and meet these individuals and see the situations that people are living in, see the different environments that these people are living in, and the conditions that they are living in of those who are to receive the zakah. So come out, and any day we can go out, we can make and we can go out on case assessments, and we do that on a regular basis. So invite any one of you to come out and we be part of the case assessments and how we disperse the zakah, and do meet and see how these the different living conditions of some people are. We would end off there, as time is upon us, so we do end off there, and do join us again tomorrow for another episode. Tomorrow we probably do zakatul fitr or sadaqatul fitr, inshallah. أقول قولي هذا واستغفر الله لي ولكم ولسائر المسلمين من كل ذنب فاستغفروه إنه هو الغفور الرحيم. والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.